Welcome back to Talk to the Doctor, the podcast where we explore simple, natural ways to live healthier and longer after 50. I'm your host, Emily Johnson, and today's episode is one that truly speaks to the heart of what we're all aiming for: a long life and a good life. When we talk about longevity, most people think about genetics or maybe advanced medicine. But there's one thing you have control over every single day, and that's what you eat. In fact, studies on the world's longest living people, from Okinawa in Japan to Sardinia in Italy to the Nicoya Peninsula in Costa Rica, have shown something in common. They eat differently. They eat simpler, more naturally, and they eat to nourish, not just to fill up. So today we're asking, what foods help you live longer, not just in years, but in strength, clarity, and joy? With me is the wonderful Dr. David Miller, our trusted holistic physician who's worked with thousands of older adults to help them eat not just to survive, but to truly thrive. Dr. Miller, welcome back. I'm so excited to get into this one. I think many of us want to know, what should we put on our plate today if we want to be here and be well 20 years from now? Dr. Miller, when we say live longer, what does that actually mean from a health standpoint? And how does food connect to that goal?
That's a great place to start, Emily. When we talk about longevity, especially in the context of aging after 60, we're really talking about two things: lifespan and health span. Lifespan is simply how long you live, but health span, that's the real goal. It's how many of those years you live with good energy, independence, mental clarity, and freedom from chronic disease. And here's the good news. While we can't change our genetics, we can strongly influence our health span with lifestyle choices. And diet is one of the most powerful tools we have. The foods we eat every day affect the health of our cells, organs, blood vessels, and even our brain. For example, chronic inflammation is a key driver of aging-related diseases like heart disease, arthritis, and Alzheimer's. But foods rich in antioxidants and anti-inflammatory compounds can help cool that inflammation down, effectively slowing the aging process. Also, let's not forget about our microbiome, the trillions of bacteria in our gut that influence everything from digestion to immune response to mood. A healthy fiber-rich diet feeds these beneficial bacteria and creates a ripple effect of wellness throughout the body. Another factor is blood sugar regulation. Diets high in refined carbs and sugars can spike insulin levels and lead to insulin resistance, which is linked to diabetes, heart disease, and even some cancers. On the other hand, whole foods like vegetables, legumes, nuts, and whole grains help stabilize energy and prevent metabolic disease. So when we say food is medicine, we really mean that. Every bite you take is either helping you age well or speeding up damage in your body. The exciting part is we get to choose that path every single day, one plate at a time.
So, what are some of those foods? Let's get practical. What should older adults be eating more of if they want to live longer?
That's where things get exciting, Emily, because the foods that promote longevity are not exotic or hard to find. They're often humble, everyday items that have been part of traditional diets for generations. Let's start with leafy greens like spinach, kale, and arugula. These are nutritional powerhouses filled with vitamins A, C, and K, magnesium, and antioxidants. Studies have shown that people who eat at least one serving of leafy greens a day have brains that perform as if they are 11 years younger than those who don't. That's astonishing. Next up are legumes. Think beans, lentils, and chickpeas. They're rich in plant protein, fiber, folate, and essential minerals. In blue zones, the regions of the world where people live the longest, legumes are a cornerstone of the diet. They help maintain healthy cholesterol levels, reduce blood pressure, and support gut health. Berries, particularly blueberries, strawberries, and raspberries, are loaded with polyphenols and flavonoids that help improve memory, reduce oxidative stress, and lower the risk of heart disease. Nuts, especially walnuts and almonds, are another excellent choice. Just a handful a day has been linked to longer lifespan and lower rates of heart disease. They're high in healthy fats, fiber, and antioxidants. Whole grains like oats, quinoa, and brown rice provide steady energy and are excellent for digestion. They keep blood sugar levels stable and reduce the risk of type 2 diabetes. And then there's extra virgin olive oil, the golden elixir of the Mediterranean diet. It contains oleic acid and polyphenols that fight inflammation, protect the heart, and may even reduce the risk of cognitive decline. Lastly, I'd include fermented foods like yogurt, kefir, kimchi, and miso. These support gut bacteria, improve digestion, and even boost mood and immunity, all critical as we age. In short, build your plate with color, fiber, and variety. These foods aren't just about living longer, they're about living better every single day.
Now that we've covered the best foods for longevity, let's flip the script. What are some common foods or eating habits that might actually shorten our lives or lead to chronic issues?
That's a crucial topic, Emily. Sometimes knowing what to avoid is just as important as knowing what to include. Over the years, I've seen that many chronic health problems, from heart disease to cognitive decline, can be traced back, at least in part, to poor dietary choices. Let's start with ultra-processed foods. These include packaged snacks, sugary breakfast cereals, frozen meals with long ingredient lists, and fast food. They tend to be loaded with preservatives, artificial ingredients, unhealthy fats, and excessive sodium, all of which put a burden on the body and accelerate aging. Refined sugars are another major culprit. Foods and drinks high in added sugars like sodas, candies, pastries, and sweetened yogurts spike insulin, create systemic inflammation, and over time increase the risk of type 2 diabetes, obesity, and even some cancers. A high sugar diet also negatively impacts the brain, impairing memory and increasing the risk of depression. Trans fats, once common in margarine and many baked goods, are now banned in many countries but still show up in some processed foods. These fats not only raise bad cholesterol, LDL, but also lower good cholesterol, HDL, making them particularly harmful for heart health. Excess red and processed meats, such as bacon, sausages, and hot dogs, are also associated with a higher risk of colorectal cancer and cardiovascular disease. While occasional consumption may not be harmful, regular intake, especially when cooked at high temperatures, can lead to increased inflammation and oxidative stress. Lastly, there's excess alcohol. While moderate alcohol, especially red wine, might have some benefits, overconsumption can lead to liver damage, increase cancer risk, and contribute to cognitive decline. So in essence, the best approach to longevity is not just about adding the right foods, but removing or minimizing the harmful ones. Choose real, whole foods whenever possible. Cook at home more often. Read labels. And remember, the food you eat today shapes your future health in powerful ways.
That's incredibly helpful, Dr. Miller. I think a lot of our listeners might now be wondering, how do we actually make these changes stick? Especially if someone has been eating a certain way for decades. How can they start shifting towards a longevity-focused diet without feeling overwhelmed?
Great question, Emily, and one that I get asked all the time. The truth is, lasting change doesn't come from a complete overhaul overnight. It comes from small, consistent steps. And the good news is that even small changes in diet can lead to big health improvements over time. First, start with one habit at a time. For example, if someone typically skips vegetables, aim to add just one serving of greens to lunch or dinner every day. Once that feels natural, move to the next change. Second, keep your kitchen stocked with healthy options. When you have fresh fruits, vegetables, beans, and whole grains easily available, you're more likely to use them. Planning meals ahead, even loosely, helps reduce the temptation to reach for processed or fast food. Another helpful strategy is the crowd-out method. Instead of focusing on cutting bad foods, focus on adding more good ones. Eventually, the nutritious foods begin to take up more space on your plate, and your cravings for unhealthy choices naturally decrease. Also, make it enjoyable. Food should be a source of pleasure, not stress. Try new recipes, cook with a friend or partner, experiment with herbs and spices. Longevity foods don't have to be bland or boring. They can be vibrant and delicious. For those who feel stuck in old habits, involve your support system. Share your goals with family members or a close friend. Even better, find a health buddy to shop or cook with. Social support has been shown to significantly boost the success of healthy changes. Finally, be gentle with yourself. If you have a bad meal or slip up, that's okay. What matters most is the overall pattern of your eating, not perfection. Think of health as a journey, and every positive choice as a step in the right direction. With patience and persistence, change is absolutely possible, and the benefits for your energy, mood, and long-term health are so worth it.
Before we wrap up today, Dr. Miller, can you leave our listeners with a few practical tips they can start today, something simple but effective, to move towards a more longevity-supporting diet?
Absolutely, Emma.